Thanks, Cody Leach. That man is a hero for this YouTube channel, but that's not what this video is about. We really appreciate it. The Rabbit is now going to have a fully forged bottom end, like I guess except for the crank, but we don't need to go that far. The crank's fine. It spins, everything's good, everything's machined, new rods, new pistons. It's gonna be ridiculous, but today we're talking about whether or not you should buy these cheap rods. And it's funny that I'm making this video because I didn't pay for them, but the way I see it, it can't be much sketchier than reusing old rods. And I've actually heard a lot of really good things about Maxpeedingrods and like their actual connecting rods. Their coilovers weren't too bad. You've seen that video. You can always tell it's a Maxpeedingrods product when you see things like this, the slogan, taking leaps into your vehicle. I don't know about that. Professional experience in high performance connecting rods manufacturing for over 10 years. That's actually a pretty good try. I'll give them that one. Alright, there's a good little note on the back too that I just noticed. For maximum performance, durability, and genuine affordability, here is Maxpeedingrods. That's actually good English. I think they got someone who knew what they were talking about, quite literally, for that one. Here it is, the packaging, Maxpeedingrods. Let's crack her open and take a look. So the first thing we're gonna do is just kind of examine them. I gotta read the instructions and see if there's anything entertaining in there. Your satisfaction is our top priority. We hope you enjoyed the shopping experience with Maxpeedingrods. All of our products are fully warranted against any manufacturer defect. For any problem, please contact us at sales at contest. We will solve your problem within 48 hours. That sounds like a bold promise. Dang. Maxpeedingrods, with her 15 years of experience in motoring engineering industry, is always striving to provide you with high quality auto parts with affordable price and excellent customer service. These are all really well written, actually. Yeah. This isn't the hilariousness I was hoping for. They have sponsored race cars?
Yeah, there's a little thing about sponsorships on the side.
Oh.
I was reading that inside, yeah. Road racing sponsorship program.
I might have to get in contact with the old Maxpeedingrods people. Yusong Erzi Road, Yubei Chun Qing, China. That just all sounded incredibly racist for me trying to read. All Conrods must be completely clean with suitable cleaner and dry compressed air before loosening the fasteners and removing the caps. There's pre-lasered number on each rod on the big side, so you can reassemble the correct cap and matching rod bodily easily. Disassemble a Conrods. Make sure proper installation, the rod bearing cleaner, blah 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 blah. Have it on good authority that a lot of forged rods come from the same place, and there's a certain company that I have heard that from who gets his rods sourced from the same people as Maxpeedingrods. I'm gonna put these gloves on so I don't get my hands dirty and don't get these rods dirty yet, even though they're going to get dirty. Hold up. This does not help fight everyone's theory that I'm a giant stoner, but this is for composite epoxy use. I can tell you that all I want. You're never gonna believe me. Alright, so you're probably not gonna be able to see the numbers very well, but I'm gonna have Brock write them down somewhere. But first, we're gonna put this cup on there and tear it out to 0. So I can make sure we're not reading the weight of the cup. So let's put one rod in there. 618.5. As advertised on their website, they are weighed to plus or minus 1 gram. It says per set. I assume that means difference between any 2 sets of rods, but effectively they should all be within 1 gram of each other. So 618.5.6, that area is what we are shooting for here. So let's go ahead and see. 618.0. That's good. Less than half a gram off. $617.9, still good. And finally, center there. 617.7. So at most 0.9 grams separate from the heaviest, oh god, from the heaviest rod. That's pretty good. So we can confirm there that Maxpeedingrods is actually weighing them and putting them in sets of a similar weight. That's a good relief off my mind. So let's put the scale away and take one of these bad boys out. Alright, so let's take one of these bad boys out and see what we're working with here. So like I was saying, one company owner advised me that he gets his rods in the same place as Maxpeedingrods does, as they're manufactured in China. And what he does that makes them worth his pricing is he takes them all, weighs them as Maxpeedingrods does. He puts them in weight match sets, but he also specs everything. He owns a machine shop, so he checks the specs and makes sure they're all within factory limitations and all within the factory limitations of not only clearance of, say, the crankshaft, but also within each other for the bearings and wrist pin opening. He machines all those to be identical and make sure everything is within spec, double checks. And then one thing he also told me is he's not 100% positive, but he said it's not worth his thought to risk whether or not this is actual ARP hardware. And it does say ARP. Is that focusing? So it says ARP 2000 on it, but it also says Maxpeedingrods on it. I don't really know what to make of that, but I'm going to put my faith in the old Maxpeedingrods. The Corolla made it to Las Vegas. I'm going to believe them when they say that these are actual ARP hardware pieces. Otherwise, I mean, it's just a forged H-beam rod. Everything looks good. Like we checked, everything is within the same weight specs. I don't have a way to like 100% check the specs of the opening for the crankshaft. Obviously, it's kind of hard to mess up 14mm wrist pin opening when pretty much everything uses it. An interesting fact about these is, as I discovered in the last rabbit video, these are the same rods that would go in a 1.8 turbo, which I also now have in the A4. So, you know, if it ever came to ripping the Audi's engine apart and wanting to go to a forged bottom end, which is asinine because people run like 300 to 400 wheel horsepower on stock 1.8T blocks from that era. So we'd have to be optimistic for some pretty ridiculous power to want to go forged rods in the old 1.8. But if we ever wanted to, and these rods prove themselves in the Rabbit, then they might just wind up in the Audi someday. Not these particular ones, but the same spec and yada yada yada. I'm not too worried about running into power issues because the Rabbit's engine is only intended to make maybe 225 horsepower with a really good tune on it. So my only concern, I guess, is clearances being okay for the bearings onto the crankshaft, being consistent, not running into issues there. We already know the weight's consistent and that's not an issue. And like I said, little concerning is this hardware. Alright, well, we found a 10mm, my 10mm that's been missing for like the past several months. We found a 12.7/16 socket, which is what fits on there. I don't want to take these out just yet because we're not actually disassembling anything entirely yet, but we're just kind of doing a little overview, showing you guys what comes in the package. What's a little suspicious to me towards it being ARP hardware is it highly recommends using ARP assembly lube when you're tightening to torque, and it doesn't come with any, and I've never seen any ARP hardware not come with a little packet of it. And even my Yoshi Fab rods came with it, so that's a little suspicious. And also the ARP hardware on the Yoshi Fab rods, the real ARP stuff that is on the Volvo's rods, also had these weird little rubber washers. But I mean, there's nothing obvious that's making me think it shouldn't be real ARP hardware, but that's kind of what China's really good at, is making things look very convincingly real to someone who hasn't been around ARP hardware enough to notice if it's fake or not, and not being ashamed to put actual company brand names on things. look up some Chinese-made Gibson guitars if you have any interest in that. There's a lot that come with the Gibson headstock or Gibson logo on the headstock.
Yeah, or
look
NVIDIA
just
graphics cards.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, a lot of stuff. So overall, in terms of initial impressions, they're really good. They just look like forged rods. Everything looks really nicely hatched in there for the bearing surface. Like I said, 14mm wrist pin surface. And actually, I'm not gonna try and put a wrist pin in there, but I just kind of want to see what it looks like with one of these Wiseco forged pistons on it, which almost seems sacrilegious to spend this much money on pistons and then use some cheap Chinese-made rods, but we make do with what we've got. And there you go, dude. That's what's gonna be inside the Rabbit there. Forged rods, forged pistons, bottom end good to like 800 horsepower or something. The amount of power it will never see. I reiterate one more time, the Rabbit is not getting boosted. I don't ever plan on it. And if someday I change my mind and we start doing a turbo project on it, you can cite this video specifically and go, well actually Braden, on August 22nd you said you would never do this, so you got me if that ever happens. Alright guys, so there you go. The Rabbit's engine, fully forged bottom end, is coming. 9A 16 valve, 2-liter, forged rods, forged pistons, EFI conversion, micro squirt ECU. This thing's gonna be pretty crazy, and we've made a lot more progress on it and the Volvo in like the past 2 weeks than I have the entire rest of the time they've been projects. So the next video on the Rabbit will be these going on the pistons, and then hopefully the pistons and rods going into the engine. We have everything we need. The thing I don't have a lot of right now is time. I leave Wednesday the 28th for Wichita, Kansas. I'm going to a big rocket launch. Tuesday the 27th is my last day working at Jimmy John's. So after that, as long as I can get my writing done in a reasonable fashion, I should have a good bit more time to work on these things. So this engine realistically should be getting put back together entirely reasonably quickly. I definitely want to clean up the oil pan a whole lot more than it is, and maybe try and clean up the head a little bit, just because, like, look how nice this block looks. That must be the web where the Black Widow was.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, just everything in here being so shiny and the whole thing being so clean, it feels a little bit wrong to, you know, kind of bastardize it by putting a really dirty oil pan and head on it. This 8 valve that's under the hood as we speak is going into my friend Eric's Mark II Golf GTI, which currently doesn't have an engine, and I kind of like some input from you guys. What do you think? I want to paint the engine bay while the engine's out, considering the CIS is going away. So once all this stuff is out, there's going to be like 12 wires in the entire engine bay. I really kind of want to paint it like kind of a deep maroon, like my shorts, because to be honest with you, Pat's Jetta race car has that and it looks pretty sick. So as you guys know, the car will be repainted its original color, which is right here, Mexico beige. So I think that maroon engine bay would be a good little accent. For now, I'm going to cut you to a clip I shot a little bit ago. We had some fan mail sent to us with the P.O. box. I showed you in the last video I gave Brock his keychain. That was part of that package. But there's a whole lot more to it. So I'm going to cut you to that right now. But real quick, somebody commented that they were going to send me cash to the P.O. box and said wait 5 to 7 business days or something like that. If you weren't bullshitting, I have some unfortunate news in that the Postal Service screwed both you and I over because it never came. You may not have put the P.O. box right, or it entirely could be not your fault because the Postal Service has lost plenty of shit I've mailed, destroyed plenty of shit I've mailed, including an entire supercharger once. That was pretty neat. So, yeah, if you did send cash, it seems to be gone. But if you guys would like to send us something to the P.O. box, a CD for the Audi, you know, any stuff. What do you keep looking at? Is there a spider over there?
No, this bug keeps flying like right by my head.
I was ready for you to just like stop recording and be like, hey, there's a Black Widow on the wall. But yeah, here's that. We got a box to unopen. By the way, if you'd like to send something to the P.O. box, please make sure you put the P.O. box number, because they were like, oh, this got delivered like to the post office address instead of your P.O. box. You don't pay the extra $30 a year or whatever to have that privilege. And they're like, so this was the first time it's happened, but if it happens again, we'll just return the package to the sender. I was like, well, that's stupid, but okay. So make sure you put P.O. box number there, because otherwise it just gets delivered to the post office. See what we got. This is well packaged.
Eaten?
Eaten up. Oh, is it more art, dude? Damn. There's a throwback for you.
OG equipment.
Hell yeah, this dude sent a painting of the Steve a long time ago too. That one, to be exact. Hell yeah, dude, I still have this. It's at my parents' house. I just didn't hang anything up, but actually, I think there's spots where there was already paintings on the wall here. Let's do it, dude. Hell yeah, dude, thank you very much. Oh, there's more things in here. Cooper Beeline. What do we got? Oh, he sent me a clutch release arm retainer for the Volvo. I already got one, but good looking out.
It looks like an IUD.
Volvo, it does. Volvo keychains, Stay Sexy Ross, one for Brock. I assume this Volkswagen one was for me, and that's this empty package. There's another box in here. Eating up. Oh hell yeah, Hot Wheels. Fucking Skyline. R33 there, mate.
Midnight purple.
A 2012 Ford Fiesta Rally Spec Mark II Golf with dual round headlights. Dumb lit. What we got here? Racing cars. Oh, it's a Fiesta. My generation. And a Pagani Huayra. Hell yeah, dude.
Forza
Just want
Motorsport.
to make sure that that's everything. I don't want to leave anything unopened. And it is an unopening, so you know what that means. Time to unopen it. Hell yeah, dude. Thank you very much. I will make sure Brock and Ross get their Volvo keychains. You ready for this satisfying peel? Oh, oops. Oh, ignore that, nothing happened. That right there, that's dumb lit. There's a spider web all over this wall. That's pretty neat. Get down there. There it goes. Maybe. Nope. There it is. Dumb lit, dude. Dumb lit. We needed some art in this house. Thank you.
Besides this welcome sign.
Yeah, that was here when we got here. It's too old lady for my taste. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys are as excited to see Ford's bottom end go together for the Rabbit as I am to have it done. I don't know if I'm going to pull the trans out of the engine bay yet. For painting purposes, that would be a little bit easier. But I don't like taking the axles off of Volkswagens because they have Allen keys to hold them in, and I'm entirely prepared to strip every single one of them out and not get them out entirely. I've seen a lot with engines removed from scrapped shells. People just cut them because they can't get them out without stripping it. So I'd kind of like to just leave the transmission where it's at since we're sticking with the 4-speed, meaning this thing will probably do 0 to 60 a lot faster than the Fiesta ST does. In fact, it weighs about 1,000 pounds less than the Fiesta ST and will have more horsepower. So that's pretty ridiculous. On that note, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, add me on Snapchat at BigB1011. Follow Brock on Instagram as well at BomberBrick. He just did some new lifts for the hatch of his Volvo 760 Turbo. And if you want to see a picture of your car featured at the end of one of my videos, send me a picture of your car to christopherhelp@gmail.com. We will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.